this is Margaret from the blog Don't Call It Bollywood. Happy 1 month before Shahrukh Khan's birthday. And in honor of the 1 month before of his birthday, today I want to talk about what Shahrukh Khan means specifically to the overseas audience, which is something that may be hard to understand if you aren't part of that audience because it's a very specific meaning. Obviously, I'm not really part of that audience. I mean, I am sort of, I live overseas, but I'm not Indian in any way at all. However, I am American, which means I am also a child of immigrants, as are all Americans. And that's one thing that Shahrukh really speaks to for his audience. So I'm going to start by just talking about that. My family came to America well over 100 years ago. We're mostly American, but there's still those little moments where you have to navigate somehow between two identities. And this is something that popular culture doesn't really deal with. American popular culture doesn't deal with it. And you would think it would because all Americans are immigrants. But no, it doesn't. And Indian popular culture in general doesn't either. If you look at the film My Big Fat Greek Wedding, there's a reason that was such a sleeper hit. It's not because there's so many Greeks in America, it's because there's so many people who are looking for a story that talks about understanding how those identities intersect. So that's one wonderful thing that Shahrukh does for all immigrants. He gives us films that deal with that identity. But what does he do specifically for the Desi immigrants, the Pakistani British person, the Indian American person, the Nepali Australian person? What does he do for them? Well, that's a very particular kind of lifestyle that people have to deal with. And it's one that, again, I'm going to acknowledge I can't really relate to because I am the typical American. If you look at me, you don't look twice. But that is not true for the Indian Americans and for the various other Desi diaspora who live in other places of the world. If they get on a bus, somebody might choose to move, not to sit next to them. Somebody might make fun of their accent. Their very best friend in the world probably won't be able to pronounce their name correctly. These aren't big things. These are little things, but they eat away at you eventually, and they make you feel like, well, you don't really belong. Even if you were born here, there's these little moments that tell you you don't quite belong here. And that's a big deal. Eventually, it gets to be a big deal over several years. And that's when you go back to India, not to stay, but for a visit. And you think, yes, I will feel better. I will go back to India. Everybody will have the same accent as me. Everybody will be able to say my name correctly. Everybody will eat the same food as me. It'll be great. And it is great for a couple of weeks. You feel at home, you feel loved, you feel accepted. And then you start to notice every time you go into a store, you're immediately identified as the person who lives overseas. And suddenly the prices get ever so slightly higher. Your family comes over and they're delighted to see you, but somehow the conversation eventually moves around to some sort of favor you might be able to do them, some way you might be able to help out. Not all the time, but it's there. And then the big thing is, there's not really anyone you can complain to, because if you do, they tell you, why are you complaining? You live overseas, that's the dream. And yes, it is great to live overseas. I mean, again, I'm American. I like America. It's good here. There's a lot of advantages, but it's not perfect. There's still problems. And sometimes it can feel like nobody really understands those problems. And there's nowhere you can go to talk about them. Which brings me to Shahrukh Khan. He is that person who understands that unique identity situation. He is the person who cares. And I don't really know how this happened. Certainly it started with DDLJ. DDLJ was the first true NRI film. Hero and heroine both born and raised overseas, and the happy ending is them returning to overseas, not staying in the village. That's a big, big deal, to have this perfect man on screen who says, yeah, let's go back to London. London's great. It's not perfect, but it's where we belong. And at the same time, this is the mid-90s when the overseas concerts really started to get going. And Shahrukh was a big part of that. He was a trained stage performer. He likes performing on stage, so he started doing more and more overseas public appearances. And so these two things kind of intersected. That NRI identity on screen was clearly resonating with the audience, even though he doesn't actually play an NRI in nearly as many films as you think he does. Even when he's playing someone who always lives in India, for instance, his hero in Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. There's a sort of global identity feeling to it. The clothes he wears, his accent, the English phrases he uses. It's something you can relate to as an NRI. And then at the same time, he's doing more and more concerts overseas. You can see him in person. And all of that, yes, in a purely cynical way, is clearly for the money. He's realizing that the ticket rates for his overseas concerts are going up and up and up, and at the same time, the tickets for his overseas movies are going up and up and up and up. So this is great. Why not continue to pursue this career path? But then there's some other stuff he does where it starts to feel like something different is going on. He does more and more interviews with the overseas press, and it's not interviews about, oh, I'd love to be in Hollywood. And it's also not interviews about, oh, India is so poor. It's interviews about, this is who I am, respect me, I am a powerful, respectable person that you should have faith in, that you should treat in a decent way. And that's an important message. Setting aside the details of his interviews, just the fact that he shows up for an interview and he is calm and he is confident and he says, I am here and you have to pay attention to me. That's a big deal to have that attitude in the foreign press, especially if you're someone who's living in one of those countries, seeing him. And again, this is something that even I, as a non-Indian American, can relate to as an American. It's very refreshing to have an example of Indian identity that feels similar to people that I see on the bus every day. That doesn't feel like a put on, oh, everything's perfect in India and we love our culture, or a put on, oh, everything's terrible. No, it feels realistic, and I like that. There's two things he did that have absolutely no benefit for him and only have benefit for the NRI audience. And these are two things that I really want to talk about because I feel like they don't make any sense to you if you're not part of that NRI or even just the overseas audience. They seem like something different than they are. It's a message he gave just for us. The first thing he did was the film My Name is Khan, which, yes, has its flaws. It gets overly melodramatic at certain points. The narrative sort of goes here, there, and everywhere. But here's what it did. So I watched My Name is Khan, and I enjoyed My Name is Khan. And I'm an American who's paid a lot of attention to Indian culture for years. I have a lot of Indian friends. I read the Indian news websites every single day. And as an American, I also obviously have a lot of just straight up American friends, and I know about American news stories and so on and so forth. So I watch My Name is Khan and I think, aha, it is a metaphor for the Indian Muslim experience. That must be what's going on. And a couple of years later, I started to actually prepare a conference presentation saying it's all a metaphor. So I started to do some basic research to prove that it's all a metaphor. And what I discovered is, no, it is not. The stuff we saw in My Name is Khan is actually happening in America, and it's not being reported. I'm not saying there's a wave of hate crimes and people are dying in the streets in front of my building, but it is happening on almost a weekly basis. There is some form of violence against the Indian American, Pakistani American, Muslim American community. And part of this problem is, of course, the people perpetuating this violence don't realize the difference between those communities. Another part of this problem is the American press and the American officials and the American everybody else aren't actually tracking these as related occurrences. But they are related. Obviously, they're related. And this is a story that needs to be told, that people should be aware of. If nothing else, if you think I'm exaggerating, a couple of weeks before I was going to give that conference talk, the massacre at the Sikh temple in Wisconsin happened, which was news for what, a week? And then it moved on, and I haven't really seen it referenced since then, because this is something we don't want to talk about. As Americans, we don't want to talk about it because it makes us feel ashamed. And as the Indian press, they may not want to talk about it either because it bursts a bit of that, the NRI experience is perfect bubble. But Shahrukh Khan is talking about it. He's making a whole movie that's in your face saying, yes, this is a thing that is happening to my people. And we should care about it and we should think about it. So even if that film did nothing else besides making me someone who thought she was someone who could speak intelligently on Indian American issues, do a little research and realize, no, I actually don't know anything about Indian American issues, well, then it served its purpose. And that's, I think, why he made the film, at least partially, as a gift to his overseas audience, to say, yes, I hear you and I see you and I'm going to talk about you. And then there's another thing he did which really doesn't make any sense unless you live overseas. His very calm statements of fact that he is pulled aside by airport security. This is not a starry tantrum. This is a big deal. And this is something I wouldn't have understood myself necessarily until I started college and I met my 17-year-old born and raised in America college roommate, who casually mentioned that every time she goes to the airport, she has to allow extra time because she's probably going to be pulled aside. And this is just normal to her. But this is not really normal. This is not a thing that should be happening. For example, I am also generally pulled aside at the airport because I always ping when I go through that security thing. It's because of my hair. It's so incredibly bulky that the security machine thinks I'm smuggling something. So the security machine pings, which means they have to pull me aside and sort of half-heartedly wand me and make sure there's nothing there. And then they wish me good luck and send me on my way. That's normal. That's good. Yes, the thing pinged, so they have to wand me, but then they look at me and I'm clearly a nice young woman who's going off to visit relatives, so why waste their valuable time trying to hunt me down or figure out if anything else is happening? But my college roommate, she is also clearly a nice young woman. So why are they wasting their time with her? And why are they wasting their time with so many other people who are wrongfully pulled aside through airport security every single day? And yes, it's not a big deal. It's a few extra minutes, the people are very nice and polite, you're sent on your way and you get on your airplane. It's not a big deal if it happens once. But if it happens a lot of times, it starts to give you a message that you don't belong here, you are not welcome here. Maybe it says American on your passport, maybe you were born here, but there's something that's not quite right. And that's why we're pulling you aside. So when Shahrukh Khan stands up and very calmly says, this is a thing that happens to me, what he's saying is, I am the same as you. It happens to you, it happens to me. And if people apologize to him and say that's not right, well, then in a way, they're apologizing to everybody. They're saying it's not right what happened to Shahrukh, which also means it's not right what happened to you. And that's a big deal. And that's a gift that he's given his international fans. I'm sure Shahrukh Khan is not the only movie star who's been pulled aside by airport security in America. But if anyone else complained about it, they would get the same pushback he gets. The, oh, it's a starry tantrum, oh, he thinks he should be treated special. The actual, oh no, it's great he gets pulled aside, it's a lesson to him that he should travel, or whatever. But he is taking that grief because of the benefit it gives his overseas fans, both in that little moment of, yay, someone like us, and hopefully, eventually, in causing people to actually look at how airport security works and how this profiling works on an everyday basis and try to do better. And that's a gift he's giving me as well, because as I said, I am never pulled aside, so I don't need that. But what I do need is somebody to stand up and say, this is a problem with America and it needs to be fixed. Because I'm American and I want our country to do better, and I appreciate it when someone tries to make us do better. So what all of this means is, if you live in America and you're from India and you never feel like you quite belong anywhere else, you can buy a ticket for a Shahrukh Khan concert and you can stand up and you can scream and you can sing along with the songs, but more than that, you can have one moment of feeling like, this is where I belong. This is where I am accepted for exactly who I am. Shahrukh belongs to me and I belong to him, and that's all I need. Anyway, that's how it looks to me. You can agree, you can disagree, you can say anything you want, just leave me a comment. My link to my blog is right below with a related post. Hope to hear from you. Thanks. Bye.